one night of it for the book. I'm not sure what this is yet. Oh, this is a cute song. Come on, we like this, yeah, guys? Just like oh, thanks, Deborah. Oh, beautiful song, beautiful. Come on, guys. Does it say the name? Yeah, Gordon Lightfoot. Gordon Lightfoot. Well done, Lily. Yeah, I agree, Lily, I agree. Hi, Jane. We're having a little disco. Oh, I love this song so much. Just like a
Just letting everyone know that we're live, guys.
Oh, thank you.
We had a disco last night.
Thank you, Elisa.
Just take me a while to message everyone that we're live. Morning to all of you. Last night's disco.
That was. Oh, Elisa just bought me a coffee. Thank you. I love that song.
I'm just messaging everyone, guys.
We know this one, don't we, guys? Hi, Mary. Oh, yeah, Richie Valens, I think. I think you're right. Yeah, I think it is Richie Valens.
So many of you to message, guys.
Oh, Donna. Hi, Elaine. Yeah, we're going through your book, Elaine. You're late for your own party. Donna.
I'm just messaging everyone, guys.
I like that one. So, this is for... This is for Elaine's
baby.
book. Elaine, you're late to your own party. We've been celebrating your book for 20 minutes, maybe longer.
So Sunday morning, guys. Happy Sunday morning. Oh, baby. Woo. Come on. Okay. It's a bit early for that, isn't it? Guys, so good morning to you from the Southwest UK. It's Louis defending Elvis Presley. Got Elvis in the background, and I've got about 45 minutes. So, got myself a coffee. Have you guys got your coffee? Now, last night, I decided to do a disco. I thought, let's just play some of the music that I loved when I was a kid and I first discovered Elvis. So obviously around let me work it out, around 1973, yeah, or maybe even 2. My whole focus went to rock and roll, Motown, all of the rock and roll ballads, that whole movement of rock and roll, so me as a very small kid, I had this very old record player that was literally like falling apart. It was bright red, and I would sit in my room. There was quite a few record shops that would sell second-hand records. So I would go with my mum or my dad or my sister, and we'd buy these old rock and roll records. I also had Beatles records, and I would sit in my bedroom, guys, very young, from the age of 4 to the age of 11, just listening to all these old rock and roll records and these songs that are on these clips that I've been playing you last night at the disco. And it's from a film called Lemon Popsicle. I grew up with them, guys. All these very old songs that were from the 50s mainly were just what I did. It was just in me. I couldn't help it. My other friends were not into the rock and roll. They were into the music that was popular in the 70s. Yeah. So, you know, David Cassidy, the Bay City Rollers, Dave Bowie, Elton John, they were all into the 70s music. And as I got older, into punk rock. Does anyone remember punk and Mods, Rude Boys? Yeah. And then you've got obviously the as we get later, you've got the Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, and Wham and all that. I was always into the rock and roll. Yeah. So I liked all the other musics, but rock and roll was my thing. The Beatles, Elvis, any rock and roll. Yeah. So when I do a disco, I tend to just play that kind of rock and roll music. Now, when I was a DJ for 26 years, you all know that. And when I was a DJ, I played all music, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I played it all, guys. So, good morning to you. We're just having a coffee. I'm giving you guys a chance to join on. Did any of you manage to see the disco? So I made a video this morning. I'm going to play a bit of it. I'm going to review this book. This book was sent to me. Elvis and More, The Spoils of War. Now, Todd Slaughter is, to me, the original Elvis defender. Going way back to the 70s, he really, in some ways, was the first one to involve tours from the UK, bringing tours, 200 people from the UK to America to do Graceland tours. I think they even went to Tupelo. I think it tied in with the satellite program, the massive satellite program that we all know about. And Todd Slaughter, obviously a British man who ran a British Elvis Presley fan club. And he did many more things. He met the Beatles, but his life, very, very interesting man. I always say that Todd is the original Elvis defender. You can see Todd in interviews defending Elvis in the 70s. So here's me doing it in 2024. Todd was doing it, think about it, guys, 50 years ago. So I'm nothing. I'm like a little dot compared to Todd. Todd has emailed me a few times. He supports what we do here at Defending Elvis. I'm very lucky I got in touch with Colin Paul, who's a very, very well-known entertainer on the Elvis circuit, who does many things. I think recently they were at Hemsey. Definitely different Elvis weeks are dotted around the UK, and even in Germany. And I know that Colin does a lot with Mindy Miller, does regular things with Todd Slaughter. So I must pay homage to Todd Slaughter. He is the original defender. So what's that saying where you stand on the shoulders of giants? That's where I am with Todd. Yeah, if you properly look into his life, what happened through his life, and concerning Elvis as well, very, very interesting. And obviously he was one of the last people, if not the last person, to ever be filmed with Elvis before he died, which is sad, but also very, very interesting. So what I'm going to do is play a bit of the video that I pieced together, a video just quickly. Colin Paul, the entertainer, please look him up. He's on YouTube. Colin Paul, brilliant entertainer, does all the 50s music, brilliant. Yeah. He's been on, he may be watching now, but he's been on our lives, and he is a member of Defending Elvis Presley Facebook. He's a great guy, and I hope to meet Colin one day, and I hope to meet Todd one day, and maybe Colin, Todd, and Mindy Miller all together. I would love that. I would love that. Anyway, I'm going to play the video that I made. It's not brilliant, but it's okay. It gives you an idea of Todd defending Elvis. And you see Todd meeting Elvis. He gives you a brief interview. And there is an interview that Colin graciously sent me that was between Colin and Todd Slaughter. But also there was an audience. I think there was another woman there and her partner. So let's just get a feel for Todd Slaughter, because I think many people have no idea who Todd is. Yeah, many people don't know who he is. I think this video that I've done will just give you a better understanding of who he is, because he deserves recognition. He is on Facebook. He's got 2 different Facebook channels, I think. And I personally think that it's a shame that not that many people know who he is, even though from the UK, he played, to me, a pivotal role in keeping Elvis's memory alive, but also keeping his reputation and image and legacy intact, because he defends Elvis. And the way that he's questioned in an old 1970s, it could be early 80s interview, the way that he defends Elvis is just brilliant. Brilliant. He defends from the heart. And I have a massive amount of respect for Todd, massive, and Colin. Colin has been very good to me, very good to me. Colin, I do appreciate, you're very kind to me, and I'm grateful that you show support for us here at Defending Elvis Presley. Right, let's do it, guys. Here's a little snippet of what we're going to talk about. Thanks, guys.
Measure. Well, it's not extreme if you remember. See, the book is half true. Goldman himself said in a recent interview that if Elvis Presley was alive, he wouldn't be able to write the book. And the reason he wouldn't be able to write the book was because of the laws of libel.
What effect has the book had so far on the fans who've either read it or read extracts from it?
A lot have been very, very distressed. One or two, surprisingly enough, have said they're going to sell the collection and pack it in. But in the main, it is fair to say that it's given a lot of resolution to the fans. They're going to fight it.
But it has destroyed the Elvis image for some of them.
For one or two, but it's not destroyed the image as far as everyone else realises it. I think that the book is very, very unfair because it has a go at the music industry and the fans as well as Elvis Presley. Goldman obviously is not interested in rock music.
In what ways do you think it's unfair to Elvis Presley himself?
Well, he's not around to defend himself. Some of the facts that Goldman state that he's revealing for the first time have been well-tried legends. It's not very factual, and the interpretation with regard to the drugs is very, very far-fetched.
Well, let's look at that. I mean, the fact is, Presley did take enormous quantities of drugs, and drugs probably killed him. Now, that's true.
Now, watch how he defends, guys.
Well, what's been forgotten is the fact that in the last few years of Elvis Presley's life, he was very, very ill. And he'd been ill for about 7 years. But, of course, he did still entertain. Goldman says that he loathed to entertain, but each year Elvis Presley was performing an incredible amount of tours.
But he was a lonely man, wasn't he?
I'm sure he was. He was lonely because he had to be. You see, Elvis was one of the first stars of his kind, and consequently, no one else had had any experience whatsoever of handling such a situation, and the easiest thing to do was to surround himself by so-called friends to protect himself.
You see, in calling for the book to be banned, I just wonder whether you're taking the whole thing too seriously, because although it may do something to diminish his personal reputation, it will do nothing to diminish the impact that his music made.
Of course it won't. In fact, I mean, a call to ban the book is going out to the fans. We don't want the fans to be hoodwinked into buying it. No one is going to stop the publisher from selling the book. But we feel, and most of the fans feel, that it isn't fair to have a publication that's really only bringing out the same old stories over and over again, none of which have really been proved.
But don't you think one of the problems is that fan clubs such as your own tend to put people like Presley on pedestals from which they are almost bound to be knocked off?
Well, that could be said, but we have a fan club for Elvis Presley because we like him. There were fan clubs for John Lennon, who sadly is now going through the mill again, because they liked him. And sad that it seems, come Sunday, no newspaper is going to say that Natalie Wood fell off a boat. It's going to be glamorized much more than that.
What do you say finally to Goldman's conclusion that Elvis Presley was overrated? He was very good to begin with, but then he abused his talent and his career went down.
I don't agree with that at all. Elvis Presley sold the equivalent of 1 billion records. That's one record for every fourth person on this earth. And if you remember, 1 in 3 is Chinese. In other words, virtually everyone.
Just one sec, guys. I'll just pause that a sec. I just want to say this, that a massive part of the thing that I love about Todd, yeah? Now, remember, really, he's just a British guy. You know, he's not famous. He's not an interviewer. He's just a fan that has happened along the way to create an amazing fan club who truly loves Elvis, yeah? But look at the way that he stands his ground, yeah? And if Colin, if you're watching this, I just want you to know that this is what impresses me, yeah? That he doesn't waver. He just sits there. Now, the interviewer is clearly attacking Elvis, yeah? clearly being very negative about Elvis. And Todd, looking very smart in the 1970s or early 80s, very calm, not nervous, very coolly responds to every question, defending Elvis. I love it. I literally love it. If I was in an interview on TV and someone was questioning me about Elvis Presley and they're trying to attack Elvis, I would want to be like that. I would want to be very calm. I wouldn't want to react like angry or awkwardly. I'd want to be a cool cucumber. Todd is a cool cucumber. He's very like, well, no, that's not true. Blah, 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 blah. Very, very intelligent responses to stupid questions. I must repeat, that interviewer is asking stupid, negative, quite rude questions. And Todd just holds his own. Todd isn't an experienced interviewer. He's just a guy in Britain that loves Elvis, that runs a fan club. Yeah. So he gets a lot of respect from me. If I ever get interviewed like that to defend Elvis, I will be like Todd. So, and this is why, part of the reason why I call him the original defender of Elvis.
If he wasn't that good, people would not have bought them. Mr. Stalker, thank you very much. When it became apparent that Elvis Presley wasn't going to tour in this country, at least for the foreseeable future, we decided to take fans to the States, which we did. We used to take them to Las Vegas, see him in concert there, and as part of a holiday. But by the end of the 70s, Colonel Parker, Elvis Presley's manager, thought it would be a good idea for us to not go to Las Vegas, but to see Elvis Presley on tour. So we went to what turned out to be the very last two concerts that Elvis Presley performed. The film of me meeting Elvis was, in actual fact, the last piece of film ever shot of Elvis Presley. I was taken to Indianapolis Airport to be presented with an award for, at that time, being fan club president of the Elvis Presley Fan Club of Great Britain for 10 years. I was there on my own. I didn't have a camera, but I did have some money. So I went up to one of the news people and said, shoot a piece for me. And I gave him $100. And the film that you see is that piece of film. Now, it was said to me at the time that Elvis Presley wasn't very well. There'd been quite a lot of speculation in the press that his health was suffering. And there was a lady from a TV network in the States who said to me, if you get the chance to look at Elvis Presley closely, do so, because our makeup person thinks that he's got about 6 months to live. And as it turned out, it was just a little more than 6 weeks. Before meeting Elvis Presley, I'd met everyone, the Beatles, the Stones, anybody that you can think of, but nothing really prepared me for meeting Elvis Presley. And I guess, what do you say to someone that you've admired for so many years? And it's impossible other than to just be a bit of an idiot, quite frankly. Who said, look, in 3 weeks' time...
So, I mean, even that is so impressive, yeah, that he's meeting Elvis. You can tell Elvis there, you can see that he's suffering the side effects of his chronic illnesses, his medication. He's a bit puffy. I wouldn't say he's that much overweight, but just puffy. And you can also see that Elvis is polite, friendly, and gracious, respectful. And one of the things that Todd Slaughter says is that he couldn't believe just how normal Elvis was when he met him. Yes, he was completely like in awe of Elvis. Elvis completely lit up the whole room and just had this effect, this electricity about him. But very down to earth and very kind. And you can see the way he greets and introduces himself to Todd Slaughter. I'm just so in awe and amazed that that meeting happened. Just a humble guy, Todd from the UK. Yeah, he does look gorgeous. Todd from the UK, just a British fan. Yes, he brings over 200 fans. Just the meeting of a very, very simple person, Todd. Well, actually, he probably isn't simple. He's probably very complex, but my point is a very normal person. Todd looks very normal, just a typical British guy who's a proud fan. And what he's there 6 weeks before Elvis dies, meets Elvis, literally cannot believe he's meeting Elvis, almost speechless. He makes a joke of the fact that he could hardly speak, yeah, even though he'd met other people like the Beatles, etc. So amazing that it even happened, and that one of the last times that Elvis is filmed in public is with a British fan, Todd Slaughter. Wow, guys, come on. Now remember, Todd is an Elvis defender, was before he met Elvis, was after. His fan club was like extremely successful for many decades, yeah. So I'm just a very proud person. I'm a British man. I was born in England. My parents are from Cyprus, but I was born in England, so I'm a proud British man. And I'm proud to say that Todd Slaughter represented our country, the UK, with pride and has defended Elvis his whole life. Now, he does have a YouTube channel. Please jump over. There's many Todd Slaughter YouTube things. So I'm just going to play a small section of this very recent interview, or sort of, it was a show to do with Colin Paul, the entertainer, who sings not just Elvis, also he sings very well-known 1950s rock and roll stars from the UK as well. Is it Billy Fury, etc., and others, yeah? I highly recommend Colin Paul. He's great. He's very heavily involved in many Elvis events. If you put his name into YouTube or Google, it'll all come up. He's very well known. He does a lot with Mindy Miller and other people that are heavily involved in the Elvis world. Yeah, so a big shout out to Colin. And Colin forwarded this interview to me. I won't play all of it, because what we're going to do, we're going to review Todd's book. We're just going to read some of it and maybe read the first chapter. This was sent to me by, I don't know who, but one of you guys sent it to me, so I really appreciate it, guys. Please let me know who sent me this so I can thank you. Anyone that sends me a book, that the address is in the description, so you can send a book, and I will read the books you send me. I will slowly go through the chapters. My intention later is to do chapter 2 of this book, Once Upon a Time with Anita Wood. I have been sort of thinking lately that I want to do a lot more book reading, but I have been thinking that I want to try and post some more footage of Elvis singing. I want to try and find some old clips, maybe movie clips, and Elvis singing that are not copyrighted, that YouTube will allow me, because I do think we do a lot of defending here. Yeah, so obviously a big purpose of this channel is that we defend Elvis Presley, but I think we are also an Elvis channel, and I do think that we've got a bit too serious, guys. I don't know if you guys agree. I think we've got a bit too serious. We must remember that we are Elvis fans. We love Elvis for the way he looks and the way he sings and his personality. So I am going to start trying to do things that are just a bit more fun, not taken so seriously. I'm still going to read all the books. I'm still going to do Elvis defending, but we need to have a bit more fun on this channel. I really believe that. Obviously, we've gone through a difficult week where, you know what I mean, guys. We've had a difficult week, and I think things got a bit serious. So I just want everyone to know, many of you have sent me messages of support, which I really appreciate. I just want you to know I have no hard feelings. I fully forgive anything that's happened. There is no bad feeling. I only send love to these people. We can't control other people, but what we can do is control how we react to other people. Yeah. So my attitude is, if I feel that we've been, how can I say it in a friendly way? If I feel that we've been mistreated, me and Team Elvis, I'm just going to forgive. Guys, I'm going to forgive. I'm going to give back love, forgiveness. I'm going to come from a kind place, a good-hearted place. I'm a Christian man. I forgive. No hard feeling. I send love. That's it. It's all love here, guys. So I do fully support. You guys have given me a lot of support, and every day I'm getting messages. You might have seen that on the YouTube channels of people that basically feel sorry for me, that feel that I don't deserve it and that I've been mistreated unfairly. And I appreciate your comments, guys. It's very kind of you. Very kind of you. But my way is not to backlash or to shout back or to react. I just forgive and move on. Forgive and move on. No hard feelings, no bad feelings. Let's just move on. Yeah. I massively don't take my life for granted. I don't take each day for granted. I live for the moment. I live for today. And every day to me is a special day. Every day is an opportunity to be nice, to be kind, to be good, to have fun, to enjoy life, to appreciate life. Every minute of it. Yeah. So that's where I am, guys. Right. So let me quickly read your comments and then we're going to read. Now, I'll tell you what, I am really enjoying the reading. I really thoroughly like all of you. Linda, you've been so kind to me. Karen, and whoever sent me this, you've been so kind to me, guys, with these books. I think you've created a monster. You've created a monster, guys. I can honestly say I now like reading. I like reading. Ha! Who'd have thought it? I've spent 6 months telling you guys that I hate reading. Now I've changed. I like reading. So let's just play a bit of this. And I'm going to read your comments while I play this.
Elvis opens at the International Hotel. We think it'd be a good idea if you take a couple of hundred
Linda.
hours over for the opening. And I said it would be a fabulous idea. But Elvis fans are Sid Alice and the kids, so they're going to have to save up to go. All over for the when the planning was being filmed. I got a call from somebody at RCA, Roddy Burlick, I think, who said, look, in 3 weeks' time, Elvis opens at the International Hotel. We think it'd be a good idea if you take a couple of hundred Elvis fans over for the opening. And I said, it would be a fabulous idea. But Elvis fans are Sid Alice and the kids, so they're going to have to save up to go. Also, you ain't going to get a passport if you've not got one in less than a month. And when you've got your passport, you've got to get a visa that will take 6 weeks. So it was an impossibility to do. I then contacted Colonel Parker's office and said, look, thanks for the kind of enough money to go, because although it was only, I think, 180 quid eventually to go to the States and Nashville, Memphis, Tupelo, and LA and Vegas, of course, people had to save for it. And £189 then was a lot of money. And if you were going with your wife or somebody else's wife, you had to, really save hard.
December the 3rd this year, you'll have a new book being released about service to Parker. You released a book, say, 18 months ago on Tom Parker. Tell us the difference between the two books, if any. Is it revamped version of your own book?
No.
Tell us.
What happened was there was a company called Omnibus that I did a book with years ago that was written by me and Ann Nixon. It was a hardback book, kind of the illustrated Elvis or something like that. I can't remember the title. And it sold something like 25,000 copies. And I thought, well, maybe they would be interested, particularly as they had released a copy of the book translated into Portuguese, not for people in Portugal, but for people in South America. Obviously, everybody in Brazil speaks Portuguese. And we believe it sold 50,000 copies. Now, from all these books that you do through publishers, I've received very few royalties because, it gets lost in the ether over the years. But I said, I've received very few royalties. And not for people in Portugal.
Just forward it a bit. It's a bit It's a bit glitchy. I mean, just so you know, that's Colin Paul, yeah, the entertainer. And Todd, I think, has just turned 80 or recently turned 80. I think he's had some very serious health issues. So he's still going strong, guys. He's still doing this thing.
That old expression from up north, I've heard ducks fart before, is definitely worth the book.
And this is the book called The Prince of War.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about a few things now that I think the fans could be excited about if it happens. Past couple of interviews, we've talked about the Basil and releases, and that's amazing. Also, and you told us that it's not going to happen. Do you still stand by that thought?
I would like to see it happen, but you know, every time he says it's going to happen, it doesn't. Now, there might be reasons behind that. I mean, and in the meantime, the Netflix of this world are bringing out their own documentaries. It's all surrounded by the 68 special and the little bits of film that Graceland EPE own. They don't have a lot of ownership in much of Elvis Presley's movie material, and even less in connection with Elvis' music. So it's difficult for them, but things can be overcome, and I don't think there's a lot of energy in that area. Now, if he does do it, he's going to do it quick, because in 5 years' time, we're all 5 years older, and time doesn't stand still, as I really know.
The next exciting thing is Elvis Evolution.
Yeah,
Do you know anything about this?
the evolution is a bit of a mystery, because the trails that you've seen on the internet show you a little bit of film from the 68 special. I'm told that there are only 2 performances in the exhibition. The exhibition costs between 75 and 300 quid, dependent if you want a happy snap and a free vodka at the end of it all in the tiki bar. You know, for 300 quid, you can have a week's holiday there in exchange for what would be 90 minutes, because that's all that exhibition will operate for. Then you're out the door or in the tiki bar.
I've just interrupted you a second. I've been told that the initial start of it is like you're actually in the rehearsals with Elvis for the 68 special, and then it ends with you being seated at the concert of the 68 special. Whether there's any footage in between or what, I don't know, because obviously nobody's seen it yet. I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
Well, it's very interesting when you see the trail. It concentrates on the home movies, exclusive, never before seen home movies that we've always seen before. And it's a big part of the exhibition. You can't put much into 90 minutes, and it's a walk-through exhibition, so you've got to be able-bodied. I've tried to contact these people. Initially, it appeared to be successful, but somebody threw a spanner in the works, as somebody threw a spanner in the works with regard to a similar sort of thing I wanted to do with regard to the arches. This country, for Elvis Presley Enterprises, is a cash cow. Everything that comes out of the UK is highly successful. If you look at the Royal Philharmonic stuff, incredibly successful. You know, from that, we had all the tours with the London Philharmonic and film of Elvis on the big screen. It's what people wanted to do, and they will still carry on doing it because it makes money. How long they can do that, the same thing, I really don't know. Now, this evolution thing is a bit strange because it's run by a company that has done War of the Worlds, which you really got to be very fit to do that because you're running around in circles. And also, the one that I've been to is the one next to the Tower of London. And they've had damn many issues with what you would think is dry ice. It's not. It's something that's in the atmosphere. It smokes everywhere. And people are suing them for, asthma attacks and great problems. If they do the same thing with the Elvis to give it that atmosphere, I don't think it'll be that successful. might say it says something along the lines of if you invest your money, you might make money, but there's a chance you will lose money. So I find that a bit odd.
Okay, so we've got one more question before we wrap this up. But before we do that, on a personal note, I'd just like to say that this next word I'm going to use could be used by many in the industry as quite lightly, but the word legend comes to mind when I have the privilege of talking to this guy, because of the sort of things that he's done in the Elvis world that would not have come to fruition if this guy had not been involved. Todd Slaughter, we thank you for your time with the fan club. We thank you for everything that you've ever done to promote Elvis, whether it's here in Europe or the US, and to us here at Elvis Big MSP, you truly are a legend. Thank you, Todd Slaughter.
Thank you very much.
Stand up, give a big round of applause, he deserves it. So, to finish off with, you've got something good story.
Okay, guys. Brilliant. So, I think very recently done that interview, so he's still going strong. Thank you, and a big shout to Colin. Please, Colin, please give my regards to Todd Slaughter and tell him that I will always feel that he is the original Elvis defender. And you know, when you're on the circuit, give Mindy a big shout for me if you come across her. I think you will do, because you do things together. She's had a tough time as well, and Mindy knows that we fully support Mindy Miller. We fully support her. Everyone here at Team Elvis fully support Mindy, and we know that Mindy has a massive fan base of people in the UK and around the world that have got her back. And thank her. In case you're listening, Mindy, we massively thank you for being part of Defending Elvis, for joining us on the live streams, on the Defending Elvis Facebook page, and just being another Elvis defender. Mindy is a massive Elvis defender, and the way Mindy talks about Elvis is beautiful. And do you know what? Mindy Miller is still a stunning, beautiful lady with a lovely personality. We love Mindy's personality. She has a heart of gold. Right, guys. So, and I know Colin's listening in his car because he just messaged me, guys. So, thumbs up to Colin. So, what we're going to do, we're going to keep it so it all ties together. And because I was sent this book 2 days ago, we're going to try and do a bit of a review on it. It's Todd Slaughter's book. There's 2 books. Todd Slaughter, as far as I know, has done 2 books. He may have done more. This is the other one, Colonel Parker, Hero or Heel. And this book, both written by Todd Slaughter. I know that Todd Slaughter had a very good friendship. Let's let the dog out. Todd Slaughter had a very good friendship with Colonel Tom Parker. And I think, I'm just guessing now, that the friendship stemmed from, I think Colonel Tom Parker had originally somehow contacted Todd Slaughter to bring 200 British guys over, you know, to see Elvis, to do some tours. Yeah. It's quite unique for a British guy to be to have become close with Colonel Tom Parker. I find it fascinating, and I'm sure that this book will explain what happened, how they met, what he was like, what the Colonel was like as a person. Now, of course, we have strong views about Colonel Tom Parker. We haven't really done that much research on Colonel Tom Parker, so maybe when we cover this book, we'll learn more about him. We know it does seem that he was quite close to Priscilla, which does worry me. It does seem like he did some naughty things with Joe Esposito. Joe could have been his spy, but we don't know that for definite. This is all part of learning and researching. Yeah. So what we'll do, when we eventually get onto this book, we'll see if we learn something that maybe we just don't know about because of Todd writing this book. So that's for another day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to read some of this book. I do want to concentrate on the parts of this book that relate to Elvis. I haven't read this book yet, so it's not straightforward. I'm just gonna give it a go. I think the dog's gonna want to come back in a second. So it's called Elvis and More: The Spoils of War. We're just gonna read it, yeah. So let's just get a bit of space here. Okay, let me just get myself a good angle. I have not seen this before. Right, this was sent to me, and thank you, whoever sent it me. Thank you so much. Hi, Karen. Karen, I'm hoping to read your book later, chapter 2, hopefully. Yeah. Let's just see how it goes with the kids. Actually, I'll quickly let the dog back in. It's pouring with rain here, pouring like the worst weather. Come on. Literally the worst weather you could have. I've got my coffee, so I hope you guys got your coffee. So we're still having problems with notifications, guys. I don't know what to say. There's not much more we can do. There's 30 of you watching. I know many Memphis Mafia blame the Colonel, but they also tried to shift blame away from themselves. It's such a mess. It sure is. But I do want to do a lot more research about Colonel Tom Park. I want to understand the relationship between Elvis and the Colonel much more, and Vernon as well, and even with Gladys. So, you know, I'm very, from 1 to 10, I'm on 1. Yeah, I've got so much to learn, guys. Oh, thank you, Lorna. Right, I'm going to just read this, Elvis and More: The Spoils of War. This is an introduction. This is an autobiography of the world's most well-known fan club president, Todd Slaughter, not through celebrity, but because of his unforgettable name. His encounters with the rich and famous occurred not that anyone wanted to meet him, but everyone wanted to talk about Elvis. Conceived on the battlefields of Flanders, coastal Belgium, World War II, adopted into poverty by loving parents, and growing up in the cosmopolitan East Midlands city of Leicester, this is the story of one of the man's determination to promote and preserve Elvis Presley's legacy. And I'll tell you what, he's done that. He's still doing it now. He's 80, even with very serious health issues. Todd's passion for Elvis is unquestionable. One of the interesting things I learned about Todd, that he was into tap dancing. Do any of you remember Roy Castle? Roy Castle. Do any of you remember him in the UK? He had his own show, and obviously a brilliant tap dancer. I think, if I've got my facts right, that Roy Castle, who I was a massive fan of Roy Castle in the 70s. He taught Todd how to tap dance, I think, if I've got my facts right. Roy Castle taught Todd Slaughter how to tap dance. Todd Slaughter used to be a really good tap dancer. I think he said in the interview that he got to gold standard tap dancer. I'm pretty impressed with that, guys. You did tap dancing, Emily. My wife is a good tap dancer. She did tap dancing for about 3 years. My wife's just good at everything. My wife's mum, she was doing like 7 or 8 clubs a week as a child. It was something that my wife's mum really wanted. Yeah, he was. Yes, I remember him with his little trumpet. I as a child growing up in the 70s, I loved Roy Castle. Loved him. So Debbie used to tap dance as well. I love tap dancing. I'm a big Gene Kelly, Bing Crosby person as well. I love Gene Kelly and Bing Crosby. You know, all those sort of musicals that was, I think, in the early 50s, the 40s. I loved them, guys. Loved them. Right, let's have a look. So Todd's passion for Elvis is unquestionable. His achievements for Elvis and for the official Elvis Presley fan club and the Great Britain and its members are remarkable. His involvement with entertainment industry moguls is unbelievable. Despite bad luck, bad health, bad people, Todd has survived. And I think, you know, the pirate radio industry that was obviously booming in the 50s and 60s. I think Todd was involved with that, I think. I'm just guessing a bit here, guys. I think, you know, the DJs that all became very, very famous from, is it Radio Caroline? Yeah, I'm guessing again. I think Todd knew them all. Yeah, even the infamous Jimmy Savile, who obviously is a big no-no. Yeah. So let's keep going, guys. So it looks like this was written in 2020. There's a picture of Todd here as a child. He ain't changed much. Still got the same hairdo, my friend. Right. Introduction. Right, let's do it. I am proud to admit that Elvis Presley had dominated my life. That makes all of us. Yeah. Having said that, not exclusively. I have other interests, fair weather fads, fascinations. I have missed opportunities like most people. And as the years roll by, the opportunity to revisit past hopes and dreams diminish. I hate my age. Yeah. Though my respect for Elvis Presley, I have been able to do things most people can only dream about. I have been able to peep through from the outside into the world that is both magical and challenging. It is also a prohibitive environment where lack of talent is instantly visible. There is no room for a great pretender or a chairman. There had never been an artist like Elvis Presley. He was sculpted and perfection. He was sculpted to perfection. His frame, his torso, his face, his gait, and his hands were flawless. Added to this mix of magnificence was his voice. Not only ordinary voice, but a choral variety of human sounds that transmitted warmth and passion, spirit, soul, and sexual gratification, a style to be admired, exalted, emulated, but never equaled, copied by many, impersonated by thousands, but none ever coming close to Elvis. The consummation of excellence. Yes, Elvis has dominated my life, and I'm pleased that I have contributed to the preservation of his heritage in some small way. I'll tell you what, that's a lot of words tied together. I'm surprised I was able to read that, but beautifully put, beautifully put. You sure was, Emily. Hi, Teresa. Yeah. Oh, that was a mouthful for me. Right, okay, let's keep going. I'm getting it, guys. For more than 60 years, every pop star has stolen either a big chunk or a little inflection from Elvis, and many are proud to admit capturing some of his wizardry. Yes, Elvis cast a spell on everyone who has a love for musical entertainment. I agree. Elvis had this magic that once you were inflicted, you were never the same again. Let's face it, guys. As soon as we were impacted, or we felt a connection to Elvis, whether it be how he looks or his music or his movies, we changed forever. And we have never been able to change back. Once we've adjusted, metamorphosized, yeah, into Elvis fans, we're never the same again. I think we all know that, yeah? Okay. Hi, Philomena. I never, ever considered myself worthy of investing in a pair of blue suede shoes and skin-tight leather outfit. My allegiance was to look, admire, and watch with amazement as we all crawled towards his altar of perfection. For me, there was and still is life outside of my Elvis bubble. Throughout this autobiography, I tell you about my life, my family, my failures, and at least some of them. I share my adventures and trials and tales as nobody who attempts to make a difference. I have stumbled through bad luck, bad health, bad people to celebrate the rare successes and my love life. and my love of life. Despite those who dislike me, I cherish those who have cared for, loved, and helped me. He's a strong character. I will say this. I do email. We've had emails go back and forth with Todd, and he is a strong-minded character, set in his ways. So, but he did say to me that he supports what we do. Todd Slaughter dedicated to, there's a long list of names here that he dedicates. Right. So I wanted to see if I could find a chapter that talks about Elvis. Obviously, this is a very detailed book. Let's just have a look. Let me just see if it gives us a... Hello, beautiful girl.
I'm hungry.
Say hello to Team Elvis.
Hello, I'm hungry.
Okay, I'm just gonna... All I'm gonna do... I'm just gonna read... Let's have a look. Yes, help yourself, my beautiful girl. I'm gonna... I don't actually have that long. I'm gonna read the back page. Todd Slaughter has been involved with the official Elvis Presley fan club of Great Britain for 6 decades, and having somewhat a memorable name as well, known within the music business. However, Todd was a child born outside of wedlock, and his birth name was Brian William Gitchum. Of course you can, darling. His birth and mother, Betty, who during World War II was a member of the ATS and was deployed in Belgium as part of the 21st Army Group as an anti-aircraft gunner. She fell pregnant following liaison and GI and transferred to the Waifs and Strays home in Merseyside, where Brian was born on the 3rd of December 1945, classed by the US Army as spoils of war. The biological father was not named on the birth certificate under American military regulations. Within 6 months, Brian was adopted by Ada and John Slaughter, and living in Leicester, now christened Brian John Slaughter. He was eventually known as Todd Slaughter because there was a British theatre and cinema actor from the 1930s with the name, who was best known for playing over-the-top maniacs in macabre film adaptations of Victorian melodramas, the best known being Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street. The autobiography details involvement with Elvis and more. It is an adventure, a guy who found himself mixing with the stars, impresarios, and the mighty movers and shakers of the British and American popular music scene, culminating in meeting with the Elvis Presley and Colonel Parker. Then there were those personalities who were thought to be untouchable, but eventually fell from grace. Todd knew these people well, and he reveals about the good and the bad and the ugly is remarkable. Punctuated by a lifestyle of heart transplants. So he had a heart transplant, guys, over a quarter of a century ago. Todd Slaughter still classes himself as a big hunk of no talent with an amazing story to tell. I mean, he's had a heart transplant 25 years ago. That, I would say that is a massive success. 25 years. Wow. I'm just seeing if there's I'm going to probably have to flip through this a little bit just to, let's just try and find. I'm just going to pick out a section. The wonderful DJ Fontana, and I don't say that lightly because he was truly wonderful, with a regular guest. He loved our Hemsby Elvis Festival. All right, so does that mean, I'm guessing that the Hemsby Elvis Festival originated from Todd Slaughter? That's interesting. He had the best of times. When he performed, he was armed with accuracy, power, swing, dynamics, and great timing. The best drummer ever. DJ rocked, the greatest singer, Elvis. He did it a year after the record after a classic record. In a world One-trick ponies are lucky rock stars. DJ was the real, and there was no edge with DJ. He was a beautiful gentleman who made friends with everyone and made Elvis fans feel special. We like DJ Fontana, don't we, guys? Let's have a look on this bit here. I'm just going to sort of flick out a bit, yeah? By the time Elvis made his first appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show in September 1956, a performance seen by 60 million viewers, the drums were in plain sight, and Elvis Presley was well on his way to becoming the worldwide phenomenon. While his star rose, his band remained on a fixed salary, causing increasing dissension. In a joint interview with the Memphis Mafia press scimitar in the late 1956, his three sidemen said they were each being paid $200 a week when on tour, and the article called that good money for a sideman and £100 a week for the rest of them. They added that Colonel Tom Parker had permitted them to supplement their income by recording without Elvis. And what it leaves out is that they got everything paid for, all their expenses, everything. Let's just watch this bit here. Going back to Memphis from their album All the King's Men, in 2001, they backed Paul McCartney on the Presley hits That's All Right Mama, a track on various artists about good rocking tonight, the legacy of some records. Just flicking through, guys. I just think this is a read. This is gonna take a while, guys. ITN took the unusual step after a commercial break to come back on air, delaying the following program to allow Reginald Bosanquet to confirm that Elvis had passed away. Mark Wesley, who was in the Daily Mirror, sponsored newsreaders that evening, announced the death of Elvis Presley on the radio telly Luxembourg. Music fans all over Europe, a distressed Tony Prince threw away the playlist and dropped all commercials and only played Elvis music all through the night. That evening, it was calculated that the English service of Radio Luxembourg had a pan-European audience of 200 million. Whoa. The world's greatest listenership. Wow. 200 million when they announced Elvis died, and they played Elvis music all night. Wow. I like the idea of making more Happy Alive, Louis. I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I just think sometimes we just get a bit too negative. So I'm trying to get a balance. So we're going to read some of the negative books, but we're also going to read the good books, like Karen's book. Let's have a look. I'm just flicking through whenever I see the word Elvis, I read it. I'm going to read it. Let's have a look. Let's try this. It's a bit of a gamble, mine. RCA Records owned all of Elvis's music recordings. The RCA record label was bought by BMG in the 1980s. And in 2004, BMG merged with Sony Music Entertainment to become Sony BMG. Sony owns Records recordings, and they continue to use the RCA record label for issuing Elvis release. The various composers, publishers own the songs themselves. People are confused about the ownership of the records and that of the songs. They do not understand a deal Elvis and his manager made in the RCA in 1973. Now, you guys, I've always blamed the divorce for this deal, where they bought all the from pre-1973, they bought Elvis's recording rights. I've always blamed Priscilla's divorce for this, the fact that she was just too greedy. Elvis began his recording career with Sun Records in Memphis in the summer of 1954. Sun Records owner, producer Sam Phillips sold Elvis's recording contract and the catalog of Elvis Sun recordings to RCA in the fall of 1955. Elvis began recording for RCA in January 1956 and continued under the contract with RCA for the rest of his life. Elvis never had ownership of his Sun Records or RCA recordings. Elvis received an artist royalty on record sales as per terms of the contract with his record company. Typically, that is how it is done. In March 1973, Elvis and Colonel Tom Parker approached the record company proposing that Elvis be paid a large lump sum in lieu of all his future artist royalties for ongoing sales of anything that he had recorded up to that time. The deal was made. RCA Records, and I'm a massive believer that this should never have happened. They should never have done this. It's one of the biggest ever mistakes, selling off the royalties pre-1973, all the recordings. Just complete madness. Complete madness. Okay. They paid 5.4 million, of which Elvis and the Colonel split 50. That meant that Elvis and therefore EPE no longer received his artist royalties for the ongoing sales of any recordings created before March 1973. However, Elvis did continue and does EPE to get his artist royalties on sales of recordings created after March 1973. Some people think that Elvis had a share in the ownership of his recordings and that this is what he sold to RCA. He did not. Right, okay. Right, let's just have a look at this. Elvis did not sell his publishing interests. EPE, Elvis Presley Enterprises, still holds those interests, and these are one of their major assets. Thus, in 1973 deal regarding Elvis's artists and royalties had no effect on the publishing royalties. Elvis continues to get EPE and still gets his publishers' royalties on sales of recordings of songs that he had published interest in, no matter what date they were recorded. Elvis also recorded many songs that he did not have publishing interest in. Occasionally, as per contract signed in Elvis's lifetime, his publishing interests expire on some songs. So, I'll tell you what, you can see that this book, just so you know, we're reviewing this book, guys. You can see that this book is packed with information. Yeah, I'm sure lots of stories in here as well about Todd Slaughter's very interesting life. Yeah, the original Elvis Defender. I recommend this book. I haven't read it, of course, but I highly recommend it. We're just picking out bits from it, and I'm impressed with it. And there is another book by Todd Slaughter, which is Colonel Tom Parker. So I think we would. Do you know what? I might have just enough time just to read the introduction on it. My wife's going to be back in a minute. So when my wife gets home, you'll know, because the dogs will start barking, and I'm going to have to go, guys. But I am coming back to read Karen's book, probably a couple of hours after that. Yeah. So let's just read the introduction of this book. Colonel Parker, Hero or Heel. This work is not a biography, but an overview of the private and commercial life of one of the world's most famous, some may say infamous show business managers. Being the boss of a business, a football team, or an entertainer attracts a variety of praise and abuse. And since Elvis's death, Colonel Parker has been vilified from all quarters. Let's face it, Colonel Tom Parker, right until he died, got a lot of hate. A lot of hate. I was battered and bruised when Elvis died. He was my hero, the voice I turned to when I needed solace, the man who spearheaded my social existence and enabled me to cultivate lifelong friendships with like-minded souls. It would be wrong of me to say that Elvis knew me, but he was aware of what I did, and that was a thrill. On several occasions, he acknowledged me on our party of fan club members from the stage, and when we were in the audience. How good is that? Elvis acknowledged Todd Slaughter. That's amazing. Are you guys having a discussion about book reading? I think Philomena says, I'm trying to understand how reading these books helps Elvis. Philomena, I just want you to know that we are not just defending Elvis channel. We are an Elvis channel, and we are going to cover everything Elvis, everything. Like, I'll give you an example. We're going to read this book later. Yeah. And it's a beautiful book. We're on chapter 2 now. Karen gave us this book. I'm so grateful to Karen that she gave us this book. It's a lovely read. Yeah. But then we will also read, say, this book. We've done chapter 1. We're going to do chapter 2, Memphis Mafia Princess. Yeah. And then I'll give you another example. We'll read this book. We're on chapter 9 so far. So we with respect, yeah, we are going to do everything. We are going to do every single book, bit by bit, slowly, good and bad. It's not just about defending Elvis. Because I feel that even when we read books like this, this book, I completely am against this book. I do not support this book at all. This book was a betrayal to Elvis. But I think when we read books like this, we learn things that we may not know. There's things in this book that we don't know, I think it's important that we delve in and try and every aspect. Like, for example, we read, let me just get it a minute. We read chapter 1 of this book. Now, many of you are not happy with Linda Thompson, yeah? But I tell you what, reading this was fascinating. So I just feel that we have to cover everything. We are an Elvis channel. That's what we are. We are Elvis and anything related. I was doing Elvis videos way before we became defending Elvis Presley. But we are also very proud defenders of Elvis. Very, very proud. So, you know, we've got to be careful that we don't use the name defending Elvis Presley to censor what we do. Yeah, the name defending Elvis Presley doesn't censor what we cover. So we're going to cover it all. It's like this book that I'm talking about now, right? It's got Colonel Tom Parker's name in it. Obviously, you guys have strong views about Colonel Tom Parker. So do I. He did many things wrong, but he also did many things that were good for Elvis. So we have to be fair. We have to be fair. We have to see all points of view. All points of view. And I do expect sometimes to get a backlash, yeah, on certain books. Like, I know that many of you are very against this book, but I also know that many of you want to hear what this book's got to say. Yeah, we know that Rare Elvis Photos are covering this book at the moment, aren't they? Yeah. So so there's going to be information in this book that is very, very interesting, that actually may even help Elvis. But there's also going to be opinions about this book, because many of you have strong opinions that there's no way that Elvis has any other children. So I get it. So we're going to get different points of view. We're going to have many of you people believe different things. Yeah, we don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree. But we're still going to cover it, guys, because it's Elvis related. We're an Elvis channel that also defends Elvis. So that's my answer to that comment, guys. So where were we? Colonel Parker knew me, helped me, and was kind to me and my family, and particularly during some difficult times, he was my friend. That does not exonerate him from his mistakes he made when looking after Elvis. See, I like that. So he basically says Colonel Parker was a good man to him, helped his family, but then he goes on to say, but Colonel Tom Parker made serious mistakes concerning Elvis's management, and we can't get away from that. You know, there's a good side to the Colonel and a bad side. So, and I think when you listen to interviews with, let me just show you that picture. When you listen to Todd Slaughter with Colonel Tom Parker, now, when you listen to interviews about the Colonel from the Memphis Mafia, from Priscilla, They will say the good and the bad of Colonel Tom Parker. Now, I personally think Colonel Tom Parker, from what I've learned, elevated Elvis in the 1950s from here to here. But I think as soon as we get into the movie years in the 60s, Colonel Parker was very damaging to Elvis. But remember, Colonel Tom Parker also elevated, after the 68 comeback special, Colonel Tom Parker, I think, if I've got my information right, played a big part in the success of the Vegas comeback, the 1969 and onwards, the Vegas years. So it's mixed opinions. It's mixed opinions, yeah? Oh, I know you're saying it with respect, Philomena. I want us to, look, we're all individuals. We all have different ways of looking at things. We can agree, disagree. I just feel that I want the freedom on this channel, Defending Elvis Presley, to cover everything. It's impossible for me to keep everyone happy. Impossible, even though that's what I want. Yeah, I really want everyone to love everything I do. I can't give reassurance to you guys that everything I do you're all going to agree with. Unfortunately, you've got strong opinions, strong views, which you're entitled to, and we're going to have to, many times we are going to have to agree to disagree, but we still keep it respectful and friendly and civil. There's no need to send rude messages or to be insulting. Sometimes on the YouTube comments can be quite rude. Some of them do make me laugh, but I tend to just delete the really rude comments. But I also respect that people are allowed to disagree, have their points of view. So it's not all easy, guys, but I still love it. I love what we do here with Team Elvis. I love the fact that we do what we do together as Team Elvis. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. You take care, guys. I've really enjoyed being with you guys. Thank you so much. My kids are going to come home now. I'm coming back later to read chapter 2 of this book. I send you all love, and I appreciate all of your support that you guys have given me. And we had a brilliant disco live stream yesterday. I absolutely loved it. In fact, I'm going to put it on now and listen to it because it was fun. Take care, guys. All the best to you. I send you love. Have a great Sunday. Have a great Sunday. Take care, guys.